Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday morning PI Guy live stream, answering all of your PI questions, or answering as many as I can. Go ahead, if you have any questions, put them down in the chat below and let me know what they are. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as possible as well. I have a lot of questions queued up for you today. See a lot of people starting to hop in there. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me here. A little bit of housekeeping things really quick as I get everything geared up here. First of all, I hope you all have a safe and happy Halloween and everything. So again, if you have any questions, hop down in the chat below. Good morning, Mulatto Vanguard. How are you doing today, sir? Good to see you. Let's just go ahead and let's hop right into our very first question for the day. It's from A212K. He's asking, for a full house week, what would an estimate look like, ballpark figure? What he's talking about is a TSCM, technical surveillance countermeasures, what people often refer to as bug sweeps, a TSCM sweep. Full house sweep. It's going to, I can't give you a real good answer on that because it's going to vary on a lot of different things. And but I'll cover some of the things, and then I will kind of give you a ballpark area of what I think you might be looking at. It's going to depend on the square footage of your house. It's going to depend on how many rooms a lot of times. If you need interior and exterior done, if you need vehicles done, the location of the house. This is a really good thing to keep in mind. For instance, I just had this week, I had two quotes out on the western slope, one clear down in the southwestern corner of the state, and if we have to drive clear across the mountains, that's a whole day of driving. Even if we fly out there, there's the complications of getting our equipment out there on the airplane and things like that. So it's going to add a lot of things into the cost. When we do those, you could have, many thousands of dollars in travel time, mileage expenses, things like that. For the average house, if it's generally in the area, again, it's going to depend on a lot of those other things. But it's also going to depend on the threat level. So like my company, we offer varying levels of support. I can come in and just do a basic RF or radio frequency sweep, which I usually go in myself and do those. That's just looking for anything that's transmitting. I do a brief physical inspection. I don't do a very comprehensive inspection. I'm mostly looking for radio frequency and obvious drop devices, things like that. Or we have our comprehensive, where we would send in two technicians going through, very comprehensive, going through with many pieces of equipment to look for all kinds of different things. Also checking, electrical lines and telephone lines and different things like that. So that it can really vary. Ballpark, if I had to throw a ballpark out there, I'm going to say $2,000 to $4,000. Could be more, could be less, depending again also on the location, your region where you're at. If you're in New York, a bug sweep's probably going to cost you more than out here in rural Colorado, things like that. So I hope that helps a little bit. Now, if you're looking for quotes and you're getting quotes from people and they're $500, $800, $1,200, and we actually have a couple of guys here in Colorado that are putting these bug sweep quotes out there for $1,200, and they're walking around with these very cheap pieces of equipment. I was trying to see if I had one here to show you. They're walking around with these cheaper pieces of equipment, and they're calling themselves TSCM experts. In fact, I'm going to show you one here. I recently just did a video on this one, the KT9000. There we go. The KT9000 from Night Security. This is a really good personal space RF detector, but I wouldn't classify it as a piece of high-end TSCM, technical surveillance countermeasures equipment. So if somebody's walking around with one of those that they paid $100, $200 for on the internet, and they're going to quote you $800 to go walking around your house, they're not doing you a bug sweep. If you're not getting quotes in the $2,000 range or higher, you need to really question what kind of equipment that they have, because they probably don't have very good equipment. UKPI, hey, how you doing out there? I hope you're doing well too. The Loft, is there a niche or a niche for medically inclined investigators? I'm a physical therapist looking into your field. Thanks for the videos. Hey, thanks so much, Loft, for the question. I believe there probably is. I wouldn't know exactly where to point you in something like that, but I would believe there would definitely be the need for something like that, if nothing else, as an expert witness in certain cases. I would probably get with some people that do like wrongful death investigations, accident investigations, things like that, and see if they may be able to point you in the right direction. But as an expert witness, you may be able to really make a lot of money doing something like that. So I hope that helps. You might also check with your state PI association and talk with some of those people in those higher end areas, again, like wrongful death, murder cases, even things like that in the criminal world, and see if they have some ideas for you. So I hope that helps. Our next question here is, it's not a question, it's an answer, the ability to generate new business. And I'm going to hop over really quick here to my website, if it all works for me, and it doesn't appear like it did yet, so just bear with me here. There we go. If you go over to the PI Guy channel, and you can see all of my videos here. You can see some of the members that are people that are members of the channel and stuff. But if you hop over here to my community tab, a couple of things in here. I always post in here, maybe you saw this morning, but I always post in here before the live stream just to remind people. It doesn't do a real good job, but it does do an okay job of telling people. But what he was alluding to was this poll, and I do weekly polls. I try to put stuff out there, and it was what trait is most important in a good private investigator. And I had some generic answers in there: persistence, discretion, creativity, or other, and he was responding to this. And if you're a newer PI, or if you just want more insight into private investigators, hop over to my channel and go to the community page and look at this, because I have lots of different polls that I do, and you can really start to get some good insight as to what other private investigators are thinking about things and stuff like that. As well, here on my channel, you're going to see all of my videos on there. You're going to see, if you want to support the channel, you can definitely do that. Click on the join button. You can learn all about the different levels of membership there. Look, you can click join. It doesn't automatically join you. And if you want to support the channel, I'll throw out a shameless plug out there. You can always go down and send a super chat during a live stream. You can do a super thanks on any video that you want, or you can just subscribing and liking to my videos. That really does help out quite a bit. So I hope that understanding some of those things that are on my page will be able to help you out a little bit too. So let me get everything back coordinated to where it belongs here. UKPI, any countermeasure equipment I used when asked for was rented. That gear is expensive. Yeah, if you're able to rent equipment from people, you might do that. I actually have some people that do some subcontract work for me as my technicians, and on occasion we have a non-compete, but because they work in the security field, on occasion they have a need to be able to use some of my equipment, and I do rent that out on occasion. I wouldn't do it for anybody and everybody out there. They've been trained professionally on how to use it and things like that. Michael Piker, hey buddy, how can I clear up older audio? Do you know anyone, or do you suggest some type of a program? What I use is Audacity. It's free. It's wonderful. It's a piece of software I use. Hop on YouTube and watch some videos on how to clear up audio. Now, one thing that I will tell you to keep in mind when you're thinking about doing that, if you're clearing up audio, let's say for an investigation, and then you present it to the court, the other side is probably going to ask you, has this been digitally altered? And it obviously has, because you did some clearing up on it. You had to do something, add filters or whatever to make it clearer. And you are probably not a sound expert. You're probably not a sound engineer. So you need to make sure that that your attorney would present it in the court that you are not an expert in this, and you just use these methods to be able to hear it better, and then you can describe what you did. But make sure you don't try to take the stand as an expert, that you're clearing up audio or video. There's a lot of things out there you can use to enhance video, to be able to see bad video and stuff like that. But I hope that helps there. If you have any questions, hop down in the chat and let me know as well. You can go into any of my videos anytime during the week, and you can put a comment in there, put a question in any of the comments, and I will try to get to those. Those that I'm answering here are ones that were in my comments and videos. So, Angrat, where can I find a used Andre? That's a great question. I would say the used Andre store. Sorry, that's a dumb answer that I give my children, or I used to give my children. I probably still do. They're all adults now, but I do it to my grandchildren too. Where do you get peanut butter? The peanut butter store. Where else? If you're looking for a used Andre, I would probably check eBay. You might call REI themselves and see if they have any used or refurbished ones, or know of anybody selling one. You might check with your state PI association. If you're a member of a national PI association like NCISS or the World Association of Detectives, something like that, you may throw up something on the listserv there and see if anybody's trying to sell one there. They're difficult to find. When I first got started doing this, I wanted to have a higher end piece of equipment. There was the CPM 700 from REI that was the predecessor, prior to the Andre coming out. And I actually got lucky and I found one on eBay. I found the entire professional kit, and it was really nice, and I got it and I was really excited, and I know a lot about electronics and computers and things like that. I actually did go to school for computer programming. Now this is way back in the old days, learning Fortran and things like that. But I've always had a technical some technical knowledge to me, but I got it and I was very overwhelmed. I didn't know how to use it. And what I had to do was go to Tennessee to REI and take the test, or take the training on that, so I knew what I was getting myself into and exactly how to use it, because I didn't want to destroy the piece of equipment. So if you do find a used one, it's not as simple as turn it on and it finds bugs for you. You really need to go through the training. So if you do find one, I would say, get with REI. It is expensive. I don't remember what it costs, but it's a week-long training that you go out for, and they will put you through all kinds of, they don't just teach you the Andre, they teach you a lot of other pieces of equipment, and they teach you how to look for bugs. And they have entire floors in their building set up with all kinds of rooms that you can go in and you can find actual bugs. They'll have one set up like a hotel room, one like a kitchen, one like a bedroom, different things like that. They really teach you how to use that equipment and how to find bugs. So I hope that one helps. If you have any questions, hop down in the chat and let me know. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. I have a few more here in the mailbag. The next one is from, I'm not even going to try to do this, Nana. I'll just go with that. What would you classify doing surveillance on vagrants in your area? Working independently, no contracts with local governments or private security businesses. I currently volunteer my services in regards to public safety, dealing with arson, fires, drug dealing, assaults on the public, property damage, and so on. That's a great question. That's a very niche area. And first, I want to say thank you for volunteering any kind of your services out there. Not too many people want to do that. That is a very niche or niche area. I would probably, if I had to put a classification on it, I would probably call it public and private safety surveillance, something like that. You're going to want to market that, on your website using some really serious good SEO. Probably a lot of your marketing on that is going to be going out to those businesses in those areas that may need that, and letting them know. I've done quite a bit of surveillance on homeless people, whether it's a workers' comp case or a child custody case or whatever, even just going out there and doing surveillance, looking for witnesses for a criminal matter or something like that. It is very difficult to do that, and it takes a lot of specialty and a whole lot of patience. So I hope that helps there. UK PI, do you reckon that it's easier to be a PI in the US as opposed to, say, the UK with all its data protection policies? That's a great question, UK PI. That's really going to depend probably on where you're at in the United States. I think it's pretty tough on certain levels no matter what, and it's pretty easy on certain levels no matter what. If you're in California, it's a whole lot like the UK or Canada or any place like that. There's so much protection on people's data, and in a lot of states it is. I don't know of any databases. I thought I've heard of some databases in the UK that might be out there. They're probably not quite to the same level of like a TLO or an IRB or IDI core or anything like that. But I've heard there might be some databases. A lot of the work there is probably more boots on the ground, knocking on doors, doing interviews, things like that, which can be a really good thing because it means more hours, more billable hours out there. I think it's probably a little easier in the U.S. in some instances. I'm not sure about the licensing in the U.K. Maybe you can let me know on that. I believe you have to have a license in the U.K. Maybe it's from the federal government there that provides that. I'm not sure. But here, most states you have to have a license. And every state that has licensing is different than the other state, even if they're neighboring states. Here in Colorado, there isn't any licensing anymore. Our governor, in his infinite wisdom some years back, decided to get rid of our licensing. I'm not going to go into that discussion right now. We don't need to have that. But so we don't have licensing, so it's a little easier. You can just come in and hang your shingle. But that doesn't mean you're going to get access to the databases. And, you have to prove you are vetted when you try to apply for those databases. So I hope that helps, UK. And I hope things are going good there too. It must be like, gosh, really late or really early there or something like that for you to be on already. Susan is our next question. If you have any questions, hop down in the chat and let me know. And as I always say, you can put it in any of the comments in any of my videos, and I'll try to get to them in a future Saturday morning live stream. Susan, can they put something like one of these in the exterior electrical box? She's talking about the burst or drop devices. And again, it all depends kind of a question. Let me first explain burst devices and drop devices. A drop device, she's talking about bugs, about audio recorders, video recorders, things like that, other eavesdropping type of devices. A drop device is one where if somebody has access to your house, they can come in and they can put it anywhere, put it under the couch, put it under a cushion, put it up on a high shelf, in a vent, wherever. So that's a drop device, but they have to be able to then have access to come back in and get it and gather that data, recharge the battery, swap it out, whatever. A burst device is similar. It can be a more permanent, or it could be something like a drop device, but a burst device is transmitting, but it's not transmitting all of the time. And you're going to use something like an Andre or something like that to find something that's transmitting, but if it's bursting, it's going to transmit on the schedule once an hour at 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Very difficult to find. So you need to be looking for it more as like a drop device. Can you put them in an exterior electrical box? I suppose from the logistical standpoint, you could put it there. I don't know how good it would work. If it's just a regular audio recorder, it's not going to be getting anything. Probably not going to get a whole lot of audio with the wall there. It might get some. If it's a video recorder, obviously it's not going to gather anything through there. Now, there is the possibility that they could go into the electrical box and hook something up that uses those copper wires to attach to something inside the residence. And that's why, like with the Andre, it has the ability to hook up to your electrical lines and actually check that copper wire going out of your residence, because it can be transmitting something. One of the complications of somebody trying to do something like that, though, most utility boxes that I have seen anyway, if they're on the exterior, they have a lock. It might just be one of those little locks, but they have a lock. And if you're aware of what that lock looks like, you would be able to tell if it was tampered with or changed or something like that. So they usually have some kind of tamper-proof mechanism on there. So I hope that helps. Could they? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not. And if they got into the electrical box, it's not like there's just instant wires there that they can just connect something to. They'd have to, take the cover off. They have to have some level of expertise, because they're messing around with your electrical and things like that in there. And if they shut a breaker off, well, then, you're probably going to know, because something went off in your house. So I hope that helps. DJ MFB, how are you doing this morning? Good to see you. I would caution anyone from getting a license in any state where the state police are in charge of licensing, unless you are former law enforcement. Yeah, I think I saw something from you on one of my videos or something not too long ago. I believe I don't remember where you were, Boston, Massachusetts, or somewhere up there in the Northeast. Some states require law enforcement experience, and their laws are so vague. They may require it, or you could have this. But depending on where you go to get your license, whether it's at the sheriff's office or whatever, certain people may say, no, you absolutely have to have that. So I know it's very, very difficult to get that. But if you're required to have licensing and you're out there working without licensing, then you're breaking a law, and that has all kinds of other ramifications out there. So, but it's good to see you, DJ. Our next question is from Florence Town. Are blackouts available online? And then also at 250, how can the GPS show which route has been taken? Is it like a tracker? And what Florence Town is talking about is they're watching a video on mine about doing surveillance, and how I black out, and how I use my my dash cams that have GPS on them. So I'm going to hop back over to the internet here really quick. Let me get to the right page so I can show you here. If you go to my website, freeprivateinvestigatortraining.com, this is the official PI Guy webpage. If you go here to PI Gear, and you go down here to my PI surveillance equipment page, this first item right here, blackout boards, is right here. These are just foam core boards. You can get them, at your local hobby store and stuff like that, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, things like that. Or if you want to get them online, you can get them right here. These are, I believe, 16 by 20. You want to make sure you have big enough ones. You can take these, you roll down your window, you hold this up against your window, you draw the outline of your window, you cut it out, and you can pop it in there. They don't have to be super neat. They don't have to be polished or anything like that. They just need to cover most of the window, and you can use these for your blackouts. But let's hop back over here. If you go further into my surveillance equipment, next page. Yeah, here. If you look at this black cloth, if you get one of these, this is a long black cloth, and you get one of these down here in the bottom left, the car clothes hanger, you use this behind your seat, and you can actually get two of these. I have two of them, so if I'm sitting in the back seat, I can have one in my front seat and one behind me in my back seat. And then I put the black cloth up there, and then I have my blackout sheets in my side windows, and I'm literally in a complete blacked out area. So if you go to my website, if you want to check that out, you can definitely do that, and get those online if you want to get them online. Or again, like I said, you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or any kind of a hobby store, and you can find that kind of stuff there. Let's go back online here. UKPI, the first thing I learned on the ground was to forget I was a PI. I mean, normal people aren't looking at you. What would be your first? The first thing I learned And then that's a really good lesson too, because most people aren't thinking about PIs out there, so you don't have to worry about it. But the first thing I learned was probably, and it's kind of funny because it goes back to my very first surveillance. I learned that not all professional, experienced private investigators know what the heck they're doing. My very first job, I was teamed up with a veteran PI that had been working for this company for some time, and we went out on a two-man surveillance, and he made every mistake that he could possibly make out there. I mean, he was in a brand new big white SUV, no tinted windows, parked in a position where he was facing out his windshield. He parked in a parking lot where he was facing out the windshield at the subject residence. The person that we were surveilling, it was a workers' comp case, they were suspicious already because they'd been surveilled by other people in the past. He had no tinting, brand new white, big white SUV, temp tags on it. He smoked. When he would smoke, he would get out of his car to have a cigarette. It was crazy. So, you know, that was probably my biggest is don't trust what everybody says out there. And a lot of it, you know, you've got to learn. There's a huge learning curve in it, and don't expect to be an expert when you start. Don't expect to be an expert when you're 15 years into it. It's not going to happen, you know. I mean, I'm still learning stuff every day too. So, Andy, I suspect my neighbor's attaching GPS to my car. Is there any equipment you'd recommend to look for it? Sweeping, hidden car camera, things like that, or there are reliable services that could help find it. I would say get online and look for a TSCM company, Technical Surveillance Countermeasures Company, in your area. Make sure you ask them what kind of equipment that they have, that you want to make sure they have, like the Andre and things like that are going to be able to do it. That's going to be the best way to do it. Doing it yourself, you could do it. I do have some videos that show how to do that with some of these lesser expensive, what I call personal space ones. If you want to check those out, you can do that. If you go on my website, I have some. But with those personal space ones, you have to remember they have limited ability. So I would suggest that. PR, what rights do the subject have when being investigated by a PI? What can a PI not do? Great questions there. Everyone has the same rights they have no matter what as a citizen or whatever, you know, out there on the streets. It doesn't, because a PI is watching you, it doesn't change a person's rights. You don't have the right to like assault them or anything like that. If you see them, you know, notice them, you know, I just give them a friendly wave or something like that. Let them know that you see them. What can they not do? They can't do anything illegal. That's the big thing. I mean, they aren't beyond the scope of the law. They have to do everything that's legal. You know, they can't tap your phone. They you know, they may or may not be able to use a GPS device. Every state's a little different, you know, depending on their laws. They can't stalk you. They can't harass you. Different things like that. There's even laws out there about whether they can lie to you and things like that. So there's quite a bit. I actually have some videos on what to not do as a private investigator. So again, if you go to my channel and check that out, go through some of my videos there, you'll probably learn some of that there. So that is all of the questions I see so far this morning. So I'm going to end this, and I hope everyone has a happy Halloween, a great weekend, and I will see you next Saturday. Goodbye.